Guys, listen up. As you get older, the best way to continue to look young, exuberant, and vibrant is to continue to take care of your skin. That's why I'm excited to have TJ Hanley as the sponsor of today's video. You heard me talk about them before, and you're going to continue to hear me talk about them because I believe in their products and the positive impact that they have on every man's life. TJ Hanley makes taking care of your skin so easy. They provide you with all the products you need and nothing that you don't. Every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. Lapeef family, I must admit, skincare wasn't always something I always focused on, but since I started using this system, I've seen improvements in the way my skin looks and feels. And you don't have to take my word for it. They have over 5,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers from around the world. I recommend you start with the level 1 system, which comes with all the basics: a daily face wash, an exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer, and a PM moisturizer. In addition to amazing skin, members of TJ Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off retail price, the ability to customize your box, pause or cancel at any time, and free US shipping. And because TJ Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click that first link in the description and you'll get 30% off your first box plus the free gift. Seriously, that's an amazing deal. Even though it's too early, as I often say, it's never too late. Click that link and get started today. It's go time. What's going on, family? Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sundays on the Lapeef Network. We're going to introduce the crew. We got the real precious, JS Story to tell, Lady Mogalette, Balance, me, Shonda, and myself from Lapeef JR. Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sundays on the British Network. Yeah, the Lapeef Network. What's going on, family? What's going on? How y'all doing?
Going on.
Chilling.
Doing good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right on. Right on.
Jay,
Right on.
on the house set already, huh?
Hey, it sounds like he might need to evacuate.
Spooky. It's a little spooky, Jay. A little spooky, man. Anyhow, it's good to see you guys. Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sunday. Before we get the show started, shout out to the sponsor, T Channel Uncomplicated Skincare for Men. 30% off alone, a free gift. That link is in the description. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. How's everybody's Sunday going thus far? I know it's just getting started, but the weekend's been good.
All is well.
All is well. Okay.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah.
JR, you know something, man. You know what'll make you appreciate your people is when
What's
you go to an HBCU game, man, and you see all your beautiful people there getting along, acting civilized, and coming together collectively for a better cause.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I went to Tennessee State's homecoming yesterday, so had a good time.
Okay.
He's reliving them college years. He reliving them college years.
Well, I'm not gonna.
Did you see everybody you wanted to see?
I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm leaving it at that. I had a
No.
great
I'm saying, did you see? Like, I know I went. I'm not going this year, but I went last year, dog. I saw everybody I needed to see, so I'm not going this year.
No, I didn't go to TSU. I just went, because I like to go to HBCU games and listen to the band and hopefully get a good football game. But it is what it is. But mostly listen to the band and have fun and seeing our people together. So I didn't go to the school, so that wasn't a situation at all.
I never thought to do that, Hank. Go to a HBCU. I didn't go to a HBCU, but to go, I was in the band, so that would probably be a good experience.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, lady. I know you want to say something. Yeah, I know you want to say something. You ain't seen me in a long time. I know you miss me.
Stop projecting. Just tell me that you miss me. It's okay, Hank. How are you?
I'm good. Where's some headphones at?
Where they need to be, tucked away.
Okay.
Well, we got a little HBCU thing going on here. We got a little family reunion, so glad to had a gang back.
Right on, right on.
Yeah, Sunday's been going good for me. Went to church this morning, so I had to go ahead and let the spirit flow today. So woke up early, bright and early, and fresh from church, and Lapeef-ing Sunday. Maybe a little football going on. Any football fans? I don't think you're a football fan, and Precious is. Any other football fans? Lady, who's your team, lady?
I'm not an active football fan anymore, but I like the sport. I used to be a cheerleader, so
Okay. All right on. This thing say right on.
Right on.
Well, how about them Bears, Hank?
We got our first dub. We needed that.
I was out here when they lost, so we can get them picks.
Well, we still got Carolina to do that for us, so we still in a good spot. I'm hoping that we can make it 2 in a row, brother. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna be mad if we don't see.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you win one, then what? And I mean, it had to take a miracle for them to go all the way. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to lose the panel because I know everybody's not a football fan. Again, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got a few topics we're going to get into. Sunday is a little bit more laid back. I'd like to have some fun and actually hope you guys we can highlight some of these solutions and seeing if we can bring some peace within some of you guys' homes. maybe not, right? Wishful thinking. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into our first topic, which is feelings don't define our reality. Feelings don't define our reality. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip.
Times, many times, most times, our feelings don't determine the reality. And, a lot of times we know when our feelings are hurt or we feel some type of way, that now becomes that's what it was. Like because you did this thing and I feel some type of way because I feel bad about it. What you did was thereby bad. And your feelings, even though what you feel is valid or what have you, it's true for you. It's true for you. It's not true. It doesn't change the reality of the situation. It doesn't change what's going on. You don't get to like look at something and be like, because I feel a type of way about this thing, it's now this thing. No, that's not how it works. Feel how you feel, but then take a couple steps back and recognize that like just because I feel this way doesn't mean that's what it really is.
Sometimes I like to play it back a little bit because I know some people drift off. I'm play it one more time so we can really dive deep into this convo.
A lot of times, many times, most times, our feelings don't determine the reality. And, a lot of times we know when our feelings are hurt or we feel some type of way, that now becomes that's what it was. Like because you did this thing and I feel some type of way because I feel bad about it. What you did was thereby bad. And your feelings, even though what you feel is valid or what have you, it's true for you. It's true for you. It's not true. It doesn't change the reality of the situation. It doesn't change what's going on. You don't get to like look at something and be like, because I feel a type of way about this thing, it's now this thing. No, that's not how it works. Feel how you feel, but then take a couple steps back and recognize that like just because I feel this way doesn't mean that's what it really is.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into what's going on, Luis. Welcome to the show, brother. Feelings don't define our reality. Feelings do not define our reality. Very important discussion because people often talk about their feelings in relationships. They don't have to be romantic, but people care about their feelings, and sometimes their feelings may be leading them in actions that they may regret. So let's go ahead and break it down. Feelings don't define our reality. I'm gonna go ahead and start with you first, Precious. What are your thoughts?
Yes, feelings don't define our reality. What they do define is what's going on inside of us when certain things happen. And so that's why it's important to not react swiftly. We have to be able to take a second, breathe, see what's going on, and realize that if we do act rashly, then it will have, effects on our us and other people. And so before we do, I always say, don't lead on the people that didn't cut you. And that's how you do that. You do that within your feelings because you haven't, truly sat with what's going on, taken a self-assessment. Because a lot of times when we act out of feelings, it's, well, you did, well, you said, well, you did that too. And in counseling, they always tell you not to fight unfair. There's a way to fight, but to fight unfair, below the belt, and things like that shouldn't be prohibited in your relationship. So feelings is your first line of defense to let you know that something is wrong, but it doesn't mean that you have to act in a way and feel justified because you felt a certain way and that's why you reacted. So I say take a second, take a minute, maybe sometimes you have to take a day to really analyze what's going on with you before you react and before you respond to other people in a way that sometimes you can't take those actions back. You can't take the words back. So feelings are definitely the first responder that something is going on, but you shouldn't act quickly on your feelings because it's really your flesh telling you something is going on. So you have to take a step back.
All right, go ahead, Jay. Feelings don't define our reality.
Yeah, man, I think that's definitely accurate. I mean, in a lot of cases, that's accurate because I'm definitely one of those people that have irrational feelings, and like Precious was saying, it's definitely internal. You know, I feel that way because of something that's going on internally that's not correct. So, you know, whether you see people successful or whether a few things didn't go your way, you know, you you tend to feel some type of way, and you have to find out what's going on with you internally that has you feeling that way, you know, because I've been there when I felt those feelings by, you know, observing somebody else's success. And then I felt those feelings where I was like truly happy. And I'm like, damn, this feels a lot better than feeling like, why not me? You know what I mean? So you have to figure out what that is and work it out. And I think also you need to have some people around you to bounce those irrational feelings off of. I'm not necessarily saying a relationship, but you know, why do I feel this way? Some people that could put you in your place and tell you the truth, you know, not yes men, but people that's going to be honest with you and laugh it off. You know, I mean, it's nothing wrong with feeling how you feel. It's what you do with those feelings, you know, and how long you let those feelings linger. Because if you let them linger, you know, a week turns into a month turns into 6 months, 6 months turns into a year. Then next thing you know, you bald headed and angry. You know what I'm saying?
Easy now with the ball head jokes, Jay. Go ahead, Balance.
I mean, against your will, man. Yeah.
I have to order me some Rogaine now. Go ahead, Balance.
Well said, Jay. Hey, panel. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while, so hi. I was busy earlier, but hello. Good to see y'all. Let me think. Well, I like what you just said, Jay, but I honestly see this issue mostly with women. I know some men do it too, but I feel like in most cases, more men are logical, more women tend to be more emotional. So a lot of times when, like, even if it's my friends, they'll tell me a story. I'm like, tell me the tangible things that happened. Not just how you felt about it, but what actually took place. Because I think sometimes it's hard for us to really know the difference between this person made me feel this way and what they actually did. Like, what are the actual things they did to you? And then we'll discuss that, like, okay, so them doing this made you feel like this, but maybe that's not their intention, right? So I think sometimes we may interpret things based off of our life history, our childhood makeup, our parents, how we were raised, our environment. And that's not necessarily what someone meant. That's just how you took it. So we have to learn the difference between emotions and logic. And I think we're all works in progress because I'm working on it too. But yeah, like I said, good to see y'all. That's how I feel about that.
Balance, I got a question for you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, we have feelings, we just hide them well. You know what I'm saying? Like, we run out in the woods and pass out and scream, and you know what I'm saying? Y'all won't see it, and then we'll come back like, you know, everything's cool, you know, nothing out of place. Like, yeah, you know, I just had to take a quick walk. But
y'all think y'all hide them well?
Nah, we be out there, we be out there punching trees, yo. Like Cuba Gooding in Boys in the Hood. When he came in, you know, usually we in the woods by ourselves doing that, yo.
So, wait, who's it on?
You go ahead, lady.
So, I mean, I feel like obviously it doesn't define our reality, right? But our feelings does give us information. It does influence how we perceive reality, how we perceive things, how we interact with the world. So, like, yeah, there's a difference between like your emotions and objective reality, but like your reality is gonna be framed by how you feel about a thing. So it might not necessarily define it, but if you're not balancing your feelings or if you're not objective enough to kind of be able to delineate between what you're feeling and what's actually happening, your feelings can define your reality. It doesn't make it an accurate reality. It doesn't make it everyone else's perception of reality, but it definitely can influence what you see as reality, in my opinion.
All right. Go ahead, Luis. Your thoughts about it? Feelings don't define our reality.
Feelings don't define our reality, But what it does, it reveals our mental conditioning. And with saying that, I think that I will take a step further that, don't make impulsive, permanent decisions over temporary feelings that will come and go, with time, with spending time alone and kind of breaking down your experience that you went through, right? Everybody kind of handles it, intense situations or confrontation a little bit different. But I think in order to kind of get to the root of the issue, you got to spend time alone. You got to be comfortable with spending some time alone and asking yourself the tough questions like, why do I feel this way? How did I get here? How long have I harbored this type of feeling or sentiment about this issue and stuff like that? And when you're able to kind of sit with yourself and ask yourself those types of questions, right? First, before going to talk to somebody in counsel within your friend group or immediate circle to kind of get feedback and get a listening ear. I think it's important to do that first so you could make your first self-assessment and then have others kind of dialogue with you and kind of help you break it down. I think for the longest time, we have always sold this idea like, express yourself, let your feelings out and, just and act on them. And that could be the worst advice, right? Because, at least for young men or at least for young people, they're still going through this cycle of understanding themselves, understanding why they have these type of feelings or why they're harboring certain ideas or impulsive, right? Some of it could be conditioned, some of it could be, a number of other factors behind the veil. But I think that, having them take a moment to either write it down or spend some time alone or express it in a different type of medium to help them kind of go through it is a much better vehicle versus, people kind of lashing out. And I think, unfortunately, in our society today, as we see things evolve, people tend to kind of lash out and let their feelings out before really thinking about the permanent decision they're about to make. So that's all I got.
All right. Go ahead, Shonda. You're on mute, just so you know.
Okay. I agree with everyone on the panel. I just kind of want to touch bases more so on I believe communication is important as far as talking or speaking with those people that you feel have hurt you or made you feel these type of emotions because they could have, they could not have meant it that way. Sometimes we do get caught up in our own way of thinking or feelings. That's why, as well, I do agree that, like the other day, I was thinking I felt annoyed, and I kind of just didn't know why, and I had to kind of get down to where and ask myself, why are you feeling this way? So again, I do believe just spending time alone. I agree. As far as trying to understand why you're feeling those type of emotions. But again, communication is the key as well to speak with someone and kind of just verbally get that understanding of why, and maybe they can explain more so that they didn't mean it that way, so instead of getting caught up in your own feelings and emotions.
Okay. Well, Brother Hink.
Yeah, I'm glad feelings is not our reality because we'd be in way much more trouble than we are now as a people. Because if people act on their feelings, yeah, it'll be a bad thing. And unfortunately, like Balance said, you see a lot more ladies doing that. So hopefully they have some balance in their life and they have that man in their life or that male role model or their fathers or whatever the case may be to instill some logic into maybe what that individual's thinking. Even if it's a young boy who just wasn't taught by his father. I wasn't, influenced by a positive male role model in his life. You can't move and act off of feelings. You can't make all your decisions based off of your feelings. because you know, you may be feeling, oh, I can afford this, but logically, reality says no, you really can't. You're gonna be going from check to check to make a major purchase that's definitely not necessary, but you feel like you could do it. Why? Because you feel like, oh, you're gonna count on that bonus you plan on getting, that Christmas bonus you plan on getting. But what if it doesn't come? So now you're in a different state of mind with your feelings. So no, I'm glad, like the question said, or the statement said, feelings is not our reality. So,
is there ever a time where feelings do play positive role? Not a positive role, but something that we can deem as valuable?
So I was literally going to speak to that, because like I was going to speak to both the negative and the positive. So for example, if you don't mind me using your example, Shonda, you said there was a day that you were annoyed, right? I know sometimes when I'm annoyed, I feel like everything's annoying, even if it's not. Like, I'm annoyed. That's a me thing. It's on me, right? But if I weren't self-aware enough to say, okay, you're being a nut today, you need to go relax and go sit with yourself and find your zen and realize that the world is not happening to you, you are happening to it. It kind of changes your frame. So like, your feelings can be positive if you honor them and you pay attention to what's going on, because like I said before, it's information, it's energy and motion. That's what emotions are. It's your body sometimes telling you you haven't had rest, you're overwhelmed, you're grieving and not taking time to grieve properly. Because yeah, there are lots more safe spaces for women to release our emotions and be emotional, and a lot less for men. I mean, these days more so than before, but even now, like, a lot of men don't get the opportunity to release their feelings, and that's why sometimes they walk around frustrated, and sometimes their reality is that no one cares about their feelings. You know what I mean? Because that feeling of that emotional constipation, I like to call it, all those pent up emotions will cause for a man to think that, you know, his feelings aren't valuable, they don't matter. And that's not the reality, right? Because everyone's feelings matter. So I think, you know, it could be positive if you tap into it and allow it to guide your passions, because like, our passions are guided by our feelings. Our feelings are our feelings of endearment, our feelings of whatever towards it, whatever it is that we're vested in, right? And if we use those things to kind of drive us to accomplish whatever it is that we want to accomplish, it could definitely be a positive thing. And then your intuition is a feeling, right? It's your gut feeling, right? So if you stay prayed up and you're discerning and you are, you know, in touch with yourself, then those feelings could guide you too, because there are more, I mean, I'm not going to get all crazy, but there are more things that you can't see than things that you can see. So sometimes God or the powers that be or whatever you believe in will tell you certain things that you need to know through your feelings. So that's when I think it can be positive.
That's what I was talking about. We can't let our feelings guide us. We can let it, you know, you can let it encourage you, you can let it maybe motivate you, but not guide us. You need to guide yourself off the logic. I mean, I could be hyped about doing this big project, but logically, can I really afford to do it?
So I think
feeling says I can do it. You said, I'm sorry, what'd you say, ma'am?
It should be a balance. No, like, I'm not saying let it guide you. Like, your gut is telling you go jump off the cliff. Of course, you're not gonna go jump off a cliff. You know what I mean? But
but you said,
I can't hear what you said, Shaka.
But you did say let your feelings move you. That's what you said. So in order to your feelings, you better jump off that ledge.
No. I didn't say let it. I said there are times when you can allow your intuition to guide you. You know what I mean? Like in situations where maybe you need to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like there are intangible things that like sometimes you don't understand. And you know yourself. So if you know yourself, then sometimes it's healthy. It's a smart thing to do. Of course, not absent in logic, but you know what feels better for you versus what doesn't. And sometimes that's what we should go with.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let my feelings guide me. I'm gonna let my logic guide me and move me.
I think she was speaking.
Feelings inspire me. I'll let my feelings inspire me, but I will not let it guide me or move me.
Right.
Well, I mean,
on intuition. But I do think it's healthy to sit still sometimes and kind of allow yourself to feel, because sometimes we can have those emotions or built-in feelings inside and just thinking it's okay to just move on in life and ignore them. And it affects the people around you as well. You know, you may be holding it in, but people around you can sense it and feel it. So I think it is important to kind of allow yourself to feel, you know, but not just act. It's a difference between acting on emotions and, you know, randomly, okay, I want to buy this because it makes me feel better, and maybe I feel better, you know, but yeah.
Shonda, like you were saying, you know, people around you feel, you know, you, or not you per se, but in general, like people around us can feel us. People, if you've been dealing with somebody long enough, you can tell when something's not right. You could tell when there's tension, or you can tell when there's a void that needs to be filled. And I don't think a lot of people truly tap into the fact that we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings. And so sometimes with our emotions, you know, we can feel annoyed. We can feel like there's a wrestling within us. And so that's when, you know, you're able, or you should be able, to sit still. Because when two people are fighting, you jump in, you're going to get hit too. So I think it's important to realize that, or to come to the notion that we are spiritual beings. And if we act on our emotions in a harsh way, we really can destroy other people around us just from us being spiritual beings. So I think that, you know, sitting with yourself, Louise talked about different methods and different strategies to actually express your feelings, like writing it out, like maybe taking a second to read affirmations or read things that are going to steer you in a different direction of feeling. We control our feelings. We shouldn't let our feelings control us. So as the moment, or the second you feel a certain type of way, and it's off, or it's not right with your spirit, or it's not conducive with what you're trying to do in life, you need to steer that emotion in a different direction. And you have the power and the control over that. And I don't think that a lot of people take control. They just let their feelings just, you know, just flow. And that's okay if you do, you know, you by yourself. That's okay if you're, you know, sitting with yourself. But when you just let it flow around other people and it's out of control and there is no, you know, no restraint there, then you're liable to truly harm yourself and other people.
Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, you know, one example that I think that most men could kind of closely relate to is that hitting rock bottom or defeat, that breakup, that, you know, that job that you didn't get, right? That opportunity that slipped away, and sort of you feel you're enraged, and sort of like you channel that to like other outlets, the gym, you know what I'm saying, writing a proposal, whatever case it may be, right? But I think that going through some adversity builds character, and being able to understand how to channel that adversity, or that heartbreak, or that disappointment, you know, will shape and mold you into the better version of yourself, much better person. But it takes some time. It takes some time for you to understand yourself. It takes some time to realize how you handle conflict, how you handle stress, how you handle adversity, how you handle even yourself. You know, one of the things I always ask people, like, how do you take care of yourself? You know what I'm saying? What do those things look like, and how do they persist? And that will tell you a lot about how you handle the things around in your life. Right. So, and one thing I did want to say is, and point out that that Lady Mogul brought up was that women have the ability to have a third eye. I think that's why their feelings are so much more persistent than us. It's that third eye to be able to see something that is beyond the surface. And I think that a lot of people don't tap into that because they don't spend a lot of time with themselves. They don't really, channel their feelings in the most positive of outlets, right? And I think that takes some time and some maturity to do. But it's one of those things that it becomes almost like a muscle. You have to constantly always work at it, because if not, you'll never really evolve to kind of protect yourself from the things that are around you constantly. So
So it's not just women. All humans have a third
I was
eye.
going to say men have it too.
Yeah. It's all it is your pineal gland. Like, people just don't. It's calcified because of the fluoride and the bad diets and the bad things that we're taking into our eyes and our ears, because our diet is more than what we consume, right? It's what we're seeing, it's what we're hearing. So those things can block you and make it hard for you to perceive and connect mind, heart, body, and makes it a little bit more difficult, especially since I feel like a lot of guys aren't taught that it's okay to feel. You know what I mean? So over time, it's just like, what do I need that for? All I need to do is think with my head, think with my brain. This is what's in front of me. This is what's here. I don't need to go off of anything that I feel here, unless it's, the the drive or the whatever to have me accomplish what it is that I need to accomplish. But everyone has a third eye. I just wanted to say that.
I don't think it's not It's not that we don't feel or think to feel. Was that what you are taught? What did you say, like, something about taught to feel? Is that what you said about men?
Not really taught to focus on your feelings is what I meant. I'm not sure if I misspoke, but yeah, you guys aren't really taught to focus on how you feel about things. Not many men anyway, obviously not everyone. I'm not speaking in absolutes here, but a lot of young boys are not taught that it's okay to feel, to deal with your emotions, because
it's not that we not taught. We wasn't taught how to express them. That's what it is. We wasn't taught how to let it out in an appropriate manner, because anger and frustration, those are feelings. So most time they're okay with that, because it's maybe even a passion. They're okay with that, especially with kids playing sport. They're okay with that. But the part of when they need to express that, why are you so frustrated? Why are you so angry? Why do you feel like you want to cry? That part is what we're really not taught.
Also, Also, the different emotions. There are so many different emotions. I remember when I was younger, in counseling, when I was a kid, they would give us this sheet that had like over 100 emotions on there. A lot of us only say, okay, we're I was about to say hangry, angry, we're mad, we're frustrated, we're happy, and we stick to these 4 or 5 emotions, when there is an array of emotions that we really need to ask ourselves, okay, are we truly frustrated, or are we truly angry? Is that what that emotion that I'm feeling is? And I think that when we are able to decipher the exact emotion that we're feeling, we're able to, try to curb that emotion or fix it, a lot sooner. Because a lot of times you don't know what you're feeling. So you're just like, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm this, I'm that. And it may not be that. But being able to know that there are a lot of different emotions, and to hone in on what it is exactly you're feeling, is important too.
Balance, I know you was in there now. Did you want to add something? Okay. I think it all points back to communication too. I think a lot of people need to work on how they communicate. Communication is not just speaking, but it's listening as well. Sometimes when you feel things, you don't really know how to articulate yourself to be able to get your point across. So it becomes frustrating and may come out in another way. But if people learn how to articulate, communicate their thoughts, effectively, where the other person understands, then it can limit a lot of the confusion. It's also a space for them to be able to let things out. I think that a lot of people think that just because they were brought up a certain way, or they was in certain rooms, or their parents were like this, that they are experts as adults. And that's not necessarily the case. And the only way to challenge that would be to hear other points that don't necessarily align with what you believe and how you saw the world growing up. So you have to be able to listen. That's one of the key things when it comes to communication. And then that way you can kind of bounce ideas, because you may hear something that makes a whole lot of sense, maybe even more sense than what you've been taught or how you was brought up. So if you improve communication throughout the world, I think that a lot of people would be in a better place, because you have to, we have to communicate. Communication is not going anywhere. So if you want to be one of those people that sit by yourself and you're lonely and listening to these, like these, I don't know what the rap is now, because all they're doing is just moaning and they're in their feelings, and it's coming out in music. And a lot of kids are keeping the shades down. They don't want to let the light in. And so they're just in a dark space growing up even, and they don't know how to express themselves. So they express themselves by putting substances in their bodies and walking around with all these demons. So I think that if you learn how to communicate, if you exhibit a form of good communication within your household, then we can start making a lot of changes. It's about the youth right now. It ain't about us. A lot of people in their ways, you ain't gonna convince no whole adult to change unless they want to change at this point. But the youth still has a chance. Our children still have a chance. The people that you mentor, even if you learn something, maybe try to mentor somebody so that we can start making a difference somewhere. And I always say this, it always starts with yourself, what you're doing inside your household. You can start there. A lot of people will always got something to say about what everybody else is doing. But then deep inside of them, they not happy. They don't know how to listen. They can tell you about everyone else, but the minute somebody else tries to talk about them, then they're deflecting, or they don't want to hear it. They shut down. I don't want to talk anymore. So learn how to communicate. Improve your communication. Learn how to articulate, because you can just be talking, but nobody's hearing you. And it's not that you're not saying anything that is worth hearing or that can't be understood. It's just the way that you're articulating it. And everybody is different. You got to factor that in. We all didn't learn the same way. So some people do have some learning curves. I know some grown folks that don't know how to write in cursive anymore. It is what it is. The world changes every day. And a lot of people are influenced by different things. So if you want to reach somebody, you're going to have to start by listening, because it may be something like a small detail that you can change that will make the whole difference in any relationship that you are in, any relationship that you run into. But you have to be willing to listen. So that's my spiel.
Right on, big brother. Right on.
All right.
Yeah, that was good.
If you guys just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef-ing Sunday. Make sure we hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all the support. Shout out to my green gang that's in the chat. Lexicon. What else we got in here? Let's say some more. Mr. BX87. Hink is in the chat as well. Salute to you guys. Let's go ahead and keep it moving on this Sunday. Our next topic of discussion is roles in relationships, what 99% of men don't understand about marriage. Let me go ahead and play this clip.
A relationship, the provider is supposed to relieve stress from you that she needs to be successful in her role. If I see you stressed with laundry, or if I see you stressed with washing dishes, or I see you stressed with the kid, that is my job to step in to contribute to help you relieve that stress, because I'm your helpmate. If I cannot specifically go and do that myself, I can go and make sure you have dry cleaning and stuff like that for laundry. I could go make sure that you can do different things that can contribute to relieving stress from different roles that maybe are too much for you at the season. What roles can we position out and outsource so that we can be more effective, so you can be a happy mother?
Let's go ahead and let me turn my camera. Let's go ahead and get into this roles in relationship. What 99% men don't understand about marriage. I want to open this up because I was privy to some information that I received. I was listening to, and they said that by default, the man is supposed to know how to do everything. The man is supposed to do everything, and whatever the man can't do, then that's when the help comes in. So the man is fully qualified to be able to run a household effectively without a woman. But when a woman comes in and she comes within this program, his vision, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that he can't do, then that's when she fills in. You guys agree? Is that something you guys have heard? Does it make any sense?
It definitely makes sense. If he's supposed to be the head of household, as a head, you're supposed to know how to manage every skill that's required to upkeep your home or be in a position to delegate that in a way skillfully enough. But I think in order to do that, you would have to have a good understanding of what needs to be accomplished. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Jay.
So I did see it. Like my parents for a period of time were separated when I was young, and my mom left. My dad had us, and he had to step up, like Sunday dinners, breakfast. I would say one thing he didn't do was wash clothes. Like he never washed clothes. My sister, she's older, so she knew how to wash clothes, but everything else, he held it down. I mean, then when she came back, I knew he was happy because he was doing a lot, what I mean? But washing clothes, yeah. I taught him how to wash clothes like a month ago.
I think that men
at 8.
should know how to do everything. The woman is a helpmeet because he needs help doing those things. So as long as he, is able to see what her strengths are and to see where he needs the help, then I believe that's where the roles are established in the relationship. The man in the video was talking about, I guess, if the woman was tired and needed extra assistance with the laundry or maybe with chores in the house and things of that nature. I do believe that, if there are issues with that, as long as they're not drastic, as long as she's just not being lazy and just doesn't want to do it. But let's just say he has a business and he's running this business and she's helping him with this business. And maybe, laundry is something that's fallen by the wayside. Well, yeah, you do come together and you say, okay, maybe we should hire someone to do a little light cleaning on days that we're, knee deep in the business, or where you have to be over here and I have to be over here. But we're coming together for the common goal. I think a man, should accommodate that, and it should be something that you agree upon. But you establish your role. The man, I would think that the man would see what her strengths are and say, okay, this is where I need you to help me. So that doesn't always have to be hiring, extra help or a nanny. But it is a discussion that they're able to have together in order to come to the common goal of things.
Bounce, you want to go next?
Go ahead, Louis. The video is interesting because I took some quick notes and I was just thinking to myself, okay, so the man is supposed to have a good general understanding and ability to do multiple things, right? And he in the video explained that he will be her helpmate. That was his words, right? And then I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I thought she was supposed to be the helpmate, right? And it kind of made me think about something about my own childhood, right? So my father, grew up without his father. And sort of he learned to do a lot of things when he was young, from cooking to folding to ironing to, how chores or stuff like that. He was one of 9 boys, right? in sort of, he had to learn a lot of life skills very early and grow up really, really fast. But that really shaped and molded who he was. And sort of when he married my mom, he had instilled and passed down so many things that he had learned throughout his entire life. Even though my mother, grew up in a 2-family household with multiple siblings, right? His life experience was so much greater. And to kind of react in the video, I would say this in terms of delegating and doing that. We need to understand there are some men out there who are looking for a co-pilot, and there are men out there who are looking for a flight attendant. I think it's vitally important to understand what type of person you are and what type of role you can facilitate in that person's said life, right? I don't think that you need to outsource things. There's some things you can, but I think it's about delegating and setting things up, right? Like, okay, like this is my schedule, this is my work week, and these are my responsibilities. I think there's an opportunity for Fridays and Thursdays to do laundry, or on the weekend we prep and we do this. That you got to implement systems into your life, right? There's 24 hours in a day. Do not start your day at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning because you're already behind the 8 ball, right? You have to be able to kind of get ahead of things and set things up. So you set yourself up for success. You set up your household for success, and also your relationship up for success. Far too many people just expect things to just kind of just happen like on a whim, or it's just supposed to just appear like it's magic. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen without proper preparation, proper dialogue, and, proper planning about what things need to be done. You know what I'm saying? I cook, I know how to cook, so I know how to facilitate that. You know what I'm saying? And sort of, I think that if there's an opportunity to lend a hand or switch days, or like you're probably working late, whatever, I'll take care of this these days. There is a system to be implemented into your relationship to help alleviate the stress of one person carrying the heavier load. But unfortunately, that takes time to understanding what type of person that partner is, right? So it kind of goes back to what I said about, men looking for a co-pilot and some men looking for a flight attendant. All
right, Shandy, you want to go next, ma'am?
I believe that those partners having an agreement and an understanding before coming into a partnership on what they expect from each other. Now, as far as the man's role, if I speak on that, I do feel that man should be the leader of the home, as far as in every situation when it comes to God, not all in finances. I don't want to just put that out there, but now as far as that woman, like myself, it's keeping up the home. When it comes to everything, cooking and cleaning. That's just how I am. But now, as in this partnership, to make up where the other partner lacks, I do agree with that. Being there for each other emotionally, and I do feel that in relationships, they should continue to push each other up that ladder. You should be continuing to grow. You should be growing from each other, rather it's learning from each other or just consistently building each other up. Again, just kind of going back on emotions, sometimes that man may have gone through something in that day, but it's just being that support system, to keep the house kind of in flow, if that makes sense with that. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna speak on about that for right now.
All right. Everybody spoke on it? Or?
No, Balance, you want to speak? I'll go ahead and go. Okay, right on. I got you. So as far as should a man know, I guess, these things or know the roles, I agree. We shouldn't have not only knowledge but experience in everything that we should be able to do around the home or the house. I believe that wholeheartedly, because there should have been a time where we lived on our own and we had to learn these. Hopefully we learned through our adolescence and we was taught these things by our parents. You know what I'm saying? How to cook, how to clean, how to change a flat tire, different stuff like that. Hopefully we experience these things, like I said, and was taught by our parents. But for those who don't know how to do it, man, I definitely encourage these young men to go out and get the knowledge. Find somebody who can teach you these little things, because I'm sure this woman is going to expect this from you as a leader of household. Now, as far as delegating, I believe in gender roles. So once I'm married, and this is going on before I'm married, but I'm just saying when we together in one household. Once I'm married, then I'm gonna delegate her to do the household activities. You know, she's going to do the cooking, the cleaning, and everything they're dealing with within the home that doesn't need to be fixed. And I will take over the rest. So, yeah, I think as a man, we should be experiencing in a lot of this stuff. Like I said, we all had a time period where we was living on our own. Well, even if we had a roommate, you know, you should still be able to do these things and be able to function, you know, as a functioning adult, to me.
Before any relationship that anybody hops in, do you think that discussion is needed, or do you think people get into relationships where roles are already assumed, roles and responsibilities are already assumed what they're supposed to be?
Yeah, I would hope they would have that conversation. I mean, it's easy to have that conversation because it should be brought up when, like, say, if I go to Balance's house for Netflix and chill, and I know the house is not too straightened up, it's kind of messy in the bathroom when I used it, like, and I would, when we out there maybe at the table talking, Balance, I noticed the bathroom was kind of messy. How often do you clean up? You know, I would bring that conversation up, and hopefully I would get a reasonable answer, and I would say, okay, it might be time to get that Swiffer out.
Now, as far as myself, honestly, all I really know is the motherly role. That's the only side I know. You know, as far as, okay, I'm that mother that goes and clean and I wash my kids. Well, my kids are grown up. My oldest is 23, but I wash their clothes, cooked and served, and pampered. So I only knew that side. I only knew that motherly role. And I know a lot of times it has to be a balance, but that's the only side I know. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times maybe it needs a stronger head or a stronger leader to come in and step in to kind of make that balance. But that's the side that I know.
Yeah, and it's usually a man who really, well, men don't need mothers. However, you have the motherly, the nurturing piece that a lot of men do need. They need that nurturing piece. But I think that I think men make you more balanced. Balance. I think men truly come in and do that because they see, okay, she's real heavy on this piece over here, but I'm gonna need her to be a little bit more this over there. But I can definitely relate to that. I think it comes with how you're raised too. If you were raised a certain type of way, my mom worked and then she was a housewife, so sometimes when she couldn't iron my dad clothes, I was ironing my dad clothes, so it's just the way that you were raised and what you came up doing that most times those things will just come second nature to you. They'll just be the things that you do without even having to be asked because you would do it if you were home. So I think those things, I don't think a man has an issue with. I think it's more so the women who want things to be done for them and they have no input and they don't see how them being a woman or womanly around the home is beneficial for the whole couple and for the whole family.
So I agree with that. Definitely a upbringing thing. But I also think that unless a person knows how to do what it is that they want you to do, they take for granted how it gets done. Like they don't value it as much. Like, it's, you know, kind of like if you have kids and every 2 seconds they're breaking something because they don't know the cost of it. You know what I mean? Like, a person that's not contributing to the household, or doesn't understand your contribution to the household is not necessarily going to value that contribution as much as their own, because in their mind, their contribution is what their contribution is and yours is what it is. But I agree with what most of you said, no, everyone said, as it relates to, you know, just meeting on a middle ground, and you know, deciding what each person's equitable contribution is going to be. Um, and if that's what, you know, if y'all set it up where she's cooking, cleaning, and managing the home, and he's working and bringing home the money, then that's one hand wash the other, both wash the face. You know, there's that masculine, feminine dynamic where, like, it naturally just flows properly, yin yang. There's a balance there. But there's no cookie cutter sort of dynamic, because what works for my household may not work for someone else's. So definitely about communicating and meeting halfway.
Do you think most people know what their strengths are? Or do you think they find them out, like, in relationships?
Oh, I definitely think they find them out in relationships.
You think so?
Baptism by fire. Baptism by fire. There is no, like, wax on, wax off. This is the trial. In the heat of the moment, when things need to get done and things are expected, or there's a learning curve, that is the best teacher in that
Definitely,
moment.
not just romantic relationships and platonic relationships too, because they're exposés. Like, if Jay, I'm cool with you on the Lapeef Network, and then we cool after, like, we end up being cool after. Now I'm like, yo, not saying this would happen, but, like, you kind of weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I wouldn't notice that if we weren't around each other all the time. And it's like, after that, you kind of say, you weird, but you cool. Like, I can rock with you. Or it's like, you weird, but I don't think I want to be no, you know what I mean? Like, those are what relationships do, even at work. Like, if you have a strong work ethic, your coworkers are gonna know. If you're lazy, your coworkers are gonna know. In relationships, if you wake up and your breath is hot, your partner is going to know. You know what I mean? So it's like, you find out little things about yourself, those intimate things, like your strengths and your weaknesses, things that you might need to work on through those relationships. Some people are delusional enough to think that, you know, they're perfect and the things that people say to them aren't real. But if you're hearing the same thing over and over again by people that are actually close to you and care about you and have your best interest at heart, sometimes it makes sense to take those things into consideration to either correct or make adjustments according to the person that you want to be, you know?
Else want to add anything to it?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. So as a man who had kids, I made my son do everything. It wasn't a thing he didn't do. He had to learn how to wash his own clothes. Had to learn how to wash dishes, fold clothes. He learned how to cook. I mean, I had to get on my ex about baiting him. No, let him do it, because there was times he would halfway do it and do it on purpose because he know she was gonna try to bail him out. So what I would do, I said, I put all them dishes right back in the sink and make him rewash them. And I guess that's the balance as we talk about, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just, you know, I know mothers trying to take it light on their son sometime and go easy, but you're not helping him. You're not helping him at all. You're hurting him.
I feel that's where the wife steps back and allow that male to lead, the leader to lead.
Yeah, but I think what Hank is saying, I truly agree. Okay, so again, like I said, it starts in a home, right? So I mean, kids nowadays, do they have chores? You know, are they washing dishes? Are they washing clothes? Are they, cleaning the bathroom? Are they cutting the hedges? Are they mowing the lawn? Are they helping the neighbor with their leaves, right? Like these are things that you instill in your children, because then you won't have to worry about if it's a strength of theirs or a weakness. It'll be something that they just automatically do. And even, I always say that, men are simple, and not, in a bad way, but men don't really need a lot. You put a TV, a chair, a couch, a table, got some food in the fridge, they're fine. So they may get comfortable with, all right, I'm gonna take my shoes off and just put them in front of the door because I'm living here by myself. Whereas when a woman comes in, it's not far fetched where he's like, all right, I know that she likes to have everything neat. I know how to, but he knows the importance of that. He just fails to do it for himself. That there's a difference when you lack doing things for yourself and then you just don't do it at all, and it's just not something that someone taught you, and you just a slob and you just don't know how to pick up after yourself. There's a difference between saying, you know what, I'm by myself, I don't really, have to do all this, even though you should be cleanly by yourself. I'm just saying that men will slack on it when they're by themselves as opposed to being with a woman. And that comes down to how you were raised. You could tell a man who just steps right up out of his clothes and his jeans are right where he stepped out of because his mama was coming behind him and picking up those jeans, or putting his shoes by the door where she's tripping over him as she come in the house. That's something that happened when he was younger. And so, like Lewis was saying about the co-pilot and what'd you say, a co-pilot and a flight attendant, right?
Flight attendant.
Yeah. So, there's a difference between someone that is actually working with you and you already know what's going on, rather than someone serving you something and you have no clue and you're just sitting back, taking that service from them. So I really think it happens when it really starts when you are a child. And I think any and every parent needs to get their child on regimens where it's just like, okay, no, for this, you're vacuuming or you're sweeping or you're washing the dishes, have a chore chart, go back to the old times where it was posted and there was no way you could get out of it. And it had to be done before you could watch this movie or get this piece of candy. That's just back in the daytimes. I don't know how people raising their kids now, but those things are important for when they get older. If they go off to college, you'll see how they are with the roommate. If they're sloppy, they even give you a questionnaire before you go to college about, who they're going to pair you up in a room with. They ask you if you're messy. They ask you if you're a morning person. They ask you those things so they can pair you up with the correct roommate or someone similar to you. Though that's the time when you learn your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to things like that.
I remember I used to hate washing dishes, man. Like I'm amazing at washing dishes. I just hate doing it, yo. Like so there wouldn't be a plate in the sink. They get up in the morning and see a plate in the sink. What I used to do if I ate late and I didn't feel like washing that dish, which is stupid because it's one dish, just wash it real quick, put it in the rack. But I would put the plate in the refrigerator, yeah. Like I would hide it in the back of the refrigerator so they wouldn't see no dishes in the sink, and then I would go get it later. You know what I mean? But something like 12:45 or 1 a.m, I don't feel like washing no dish. Let me just sit this in the refrigerator real quick. And
what? My mom used to wake me up in the middle of the night if I ain't washing my dishes. But listen, if I was one of those kids that was always busy. I always was performing, always had a show, always whatever. She expected me to come home 7, 8 o'clock, do my homework and do my chores. And if she came home after work 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and the dishes wasn't washed, she was waking me up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, even though I had to wake up for 6 o'clock to go to school in the morning. My daughter, she just had to turn her phone in because 2 days this week I had to remind her to do her chores. She went to bed last night without washing the dishes. I ain't gonna wake her up like my mother did to me, but you're gonna turn your phone in for the 2 days that you
wake her up. So no.
Nah, I ain't gonna wake her up. She's such an emotional wreck. And then I'll wake her up and I'm gonna have to stand there and make sure she washed them properly. And then if she doesn't wash them properly, that's another thing. Like if I see, what you call it, oil on that glass. So I see oil in them things. Everything, even if it's clean, that's on that rack is going back in the sink, and you're gonna wash everything again. Like, so yeah, you have to do it. You have to do it. Especially for me, I feel like, especially with young girls, it's necessary. So many young girls are not learning how to cook, clean, do laundry. She's doing her laundry right now. Sundays, our start of the week. That's when we do everything in the house. So yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah, Sundays is that day where you pick up that pile of clothes from the corner of your room. You know, them pants you done threw over there, them shirts. That's where that stuff get thrown in the hamper. Or
God damn, you let it sit that long?
It used to be Saturday for us, like Saturday morning cartoons, music, and cleaning. But I try to observe the Sabbath now, so I try not to, do any cleaning and any of that stuff Friday night into Saturday, and then Sunday morning we start our week. Wake up early, get the chores out the way, do all that stuff. But
yeah, I used to hate it, Sade, because I know when I hear Sade on Saturday morning, Mama's about to make us get up off our ass and clean them baseboards.
Sade Gospel and Anita Baker.
God damn, I knew it was
and
time.
some Barris Hammond.
It was a long time before I could get that Sade album out.
You cannot do any cleaning without a good
Stephanie Mills was up in there, man.
No, I grew up on Luther.
Yes, all the
Big
R&B,
Luther or
gospel,
small Luther?
and Lovers Rock.
They got a question, Shadi. She said, "Big Luther, little Luther."
The big one.
Hank, you were supposed to have that joint, man. Hold on. Hank, you got that record, right?
It's a little blurry. Oh, wait, there it goes. There you go. Wait, no, back. Perfect, right there.
Watch Hank going to get that record.
Yeah.
What? That's a classic, bro.
It's like he be having them like right on deck. Like he got somebody passing to him. Alphabetical order. Yeah, just tune in. Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sunday. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to my green gang. Turn in some more. I see you in the chat. Let's go ahead and keep the show moving on. It's time to get into the main topic of the night. Is our mothers carrying the burdens by themselves? Our mothers carrying the burdens by themselves. I'm going to play this clip. I am about to play the clip, so it's important for you guys to pay attention. I'm only going to play it one time. I don't know if that's a headache when I play it twice, because some of y'all just go off camera. So everybody ready? Y'all good? Shonda? Good. Precious, you good? You there? Not sure if she's there. Maybe I should probably hold on.
Needed a bio break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, here we go, y'all.
And if you believe that it is not your job to raise your children, the emotional labor load and the physical labor load goes up on your wife, and your child believes that somehow they've done something wrong simply because you do not believe that it is appropriate or masculine to extend that loving and physical care to your child when that child needs it. You allow that child to cry, right? When a baby cries, it alerts the brain in a particular type of way that places it in the flight or flight space, right? The mother will respond to it, but because the father's fight or flight space probably has been burnt out by emotional trauma, there's nothing there. It's called normalized male alexithymia. And basically what that means is that it is a socialized push for men to remove their emotions from themselves. And it happens so often and so deeply that by the time we become fathers, husbands, we don't know what our emotions are. We usually just feel physiological responses from it.
Like I said, bro, I'm gonna take my time with this conversation, bro. Because, bro,
as a man, if you believe that it is not your job to raise your children, the emotional labor load and the physical labor load goes up on your wife, and your child believes that somehow they've done something wrong simply because you do not believe that it is appropriate or masculine to extend that loving and physical care to your child when that child needs it. You allow that child to cry, right? When a baby cries, it it alerts the brain in a particular type of way that places it in the flight or flight space, right? The mother will respond to it, but because the father's fight or flight space probably has been burnt out by emotional trauma, there's nothing there. It's called normalized male alexithymia. And basically what that means is that it is a socialized push for men to remove their emotions from themselves. And it happens so often and so deeply that by the time we become fathers, husbands, we don't know what our emotions are. We usually just feel physiological responses from it.
Like I said, bro, I'm gonna take my time with this conversation, bro. Because
All right, yeah. My mother's carrying the burdens by themselves. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with Luis first. Go ahead.
Yeah, it took me the second go around to listening to the video to really catch on what he was saying. But when I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, I mean, this explains why we have an uptick in certain domestic violence, why we have an uptick in mass shooting, why we have a certain uptick in certain type of predatory behavior, right? It's because there is that void, in a lot of young men coming up that don't have that or didn't have that experience with their father, that connection, that sort of that understanding of how to channel their emotions. And it kind of ties back into the early conversations that we were having, right? I think it's very imperative that a lot of young people kind of have that experience, and even those who are unfortunate, they seek that same type of positive masculine sort of emotional connection, dialogue with someone who is in their family, whether it's an uncle, grandfather, etc. Right? I just think that has to be present, because I think that a society with men devoid of emotional understanding is a very dangerous society. You know what I'm saying? And I think that today we are kind of raising the most dangerous people in our society, because a lot of them don't have that. They're devoid of that. And sort of that's why you find a lot of those societal ills. And I think that once we, correct the ship, I think that we will see a much different sort of breed of men in the future. A lot much more stoic, a lot much more balanced. I think a lot much more emotionally grounded, right? And I think that will lead to much better relationships. But I just think that based on what he shared and me kind of reflecting on like what's happening now in the conversations that we've had, and what's our society, it's just not present at the moment. But definitely I do agree with what he was saying.
All right, go ahead, Balance.
I think I'm the only woman on the panel today that's actually not a mother yet. So I'm going to be speaking more from observation than my personal experience, because I don't have children. But I will say what I have seen are a lot of men. I'm trying to say this right. They may not have, I always say it's emotional intelligence, or we could say emotional control. You have to develop this. And if you don't have it, it's really hard to relate to others, especially women, especially children. Sometimes you can't really know what they're feeling or understand their emotions if you're not in tune with your own emotions. And I've seen this in a lot of men of color in particular. Society as a whole beat it out of them. They don't make it so men can have emotions, and it's really sad because they're not in tune with themselves. And then you trying to relate to a woman and have children with a woman, it doesn't go well many times, and that's why we have so many single family homes right now. So personally, I can even say when I've courted with certain men, they were not emotionally available. And it was really sad, because it's like you can't even be in touch with yourself to know what you're feeling. You don't know what I'm talking about. It's like I'm speaking a foreign language. And it's sad because I'm like, I'm sure you probably have it in there somewhere, but I can't build with you because you're not even available to build with. So, for example, I'll give maybe two examples. One man, he would lie about like small, simple stuff, just lie. And I was like, why do you do that? And he's like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm lying about small stuff. It's not that big. But I'm like, that's how you would teach your children to lie. And I don't want my children to be little liars, manipulators running around here. But he couldn't correlate the two. How you live is how you raise your children, whether you know it or not. You could tell them not to lie, but if you're a liar, your children are going to be liars. But he couldn't correlate it. And then another guy, he said his best friend was a gay man. Anyway, I'm not judging, but in that sense, I'm like, so if we had a son, would you be comfortable with your gay best friend, taking care of our son sometimes or babysitting sometimes? And he was like, I never thought about that. Let me think about it. And he took a really long time to answer. And then finally he was like, yeah, I think it would be okay. And I'm like, that's just not my standard. It wouldn't work for me personally, because if your best friend has a alternative lifestyle, I don't want him to imprint that on my son to have that alternative lifestyle. You got to be able to correlate these things. And some people can't because they don't have the emotional intelligence to understand. So really, it's a skill that can be developed. Anyone can develop it, but you have to learn it and work on it and grow in there. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about it.
Right. Go ahead, Jay.
Was the gay best friend a woman?
That was a man.
Okay.
Exactly. That's the face I had. Because what am I going to say? I can't. It's just
Hold
not
on.
work for me.
What if it was a woman? Would that matter?
I would have had the same feeling.
Okay.
This is off topic. I don't feel gay. I don't feel straight men have friendships with gay men. We are cool. We share the same organizations or social circles, but in terms of like hanging out and, I'm in a fraternity. There are gay members in my fraternity. When it comes to hanging out, some of them have been forthcoming with me. Yo, dog, do not come here. Shit is going on. I respect that. Don't let me pop up and some shit going on that I'm not about. So, you know what I'm saying? But it's respect. But as far as us being friends and hanging out, I don't know that exists. So if it does, speak up.
I agree, Jay, but one thing I'm not going to do is tell somebody about their lifestyle. I'm just going to walk away. I don't have to understand it. I just don't have to be a part of it.
You say you saying what?
I've seen it before, and I don't understand. I don't understand the logic behind it. I mean, to the point where a gay man was actually talking about his sexual experience with another man, and you would think that, I wouldn't think that a straight man would sit there and listen to the grotesque details that were going on, but
was this gospel choir?
Huh?
Was this like a gospel choir?
What?
No, it
what
was
I'm saying is I'm trying to think of environments where a straight man and a gay man would be.
Well, they went to school together. So they have the same they have mutual friends, and it was just we were all hanging out, and like I said, the grotesque details that were being said, I just couldn't believe that a straight man would sit there and listen to what was being said. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I don't know about this one.
I got you.
Respect everyone. But like you said, Jay, if you already know something's going down, then I know that you're respecting me in a way where I'm not making you feel uncomfortable. And so I feel like if you're comfortable having those type of conversations with a gay man, then you I don't know how straight you are. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I've seen it, and I don't know. I just had the question marks and the geometry, symbols going on in my head.
Yeah,
I don't know how this is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it just blew my mind, but it happens.
Well, to answer the question, are mothers carrying the burden? I guess the way I understood this is, I guess, the emotional burdens of the child or of a household. And I believe they are. I think, one thing, like with my friend group, I could say that I'm very proud of them, which I probably never said directly to them, but I am proud of them because they are like active fathers. They are like in the muck of it. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're on the Xbox and I'm listening to them, use your words, they crying in the background, use your words, they're active fathers, man. So it gives me hope for the next generation, you know what I mean? That they will be well-adjusted, articulate young men out there that can communicate and that don't have a lot of these demons that a lot of us came up with that we're just starting to unlearn. I think the fact that there's a connection, with a mother and a child, there's always that emotional connection, whether it's like when y'all first have birth and y'all have the skin to skin, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like y'all and the baby are one, whereas I believe if a father never has that, they're missing that connection. And I think if they did have that connection, that they would be a lot less, there would be a lower probability of them just vanishing. You know what I mean? Like, I think once you have that bond with a child, once you have that time with something that you created, it'll be hard. I'm not saying that some of them didn't have that bond and still walked away. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot out of you when you walk away from something you created. I'm sure you probably leave with something missing, but there are a lot more that just leave because they never built that, and I think that, the women are left with the burden of that.
All right. Go ahead, Shonda.
Okay. Well, it does what Balance said. Now as far as men having not being able to like communicate. It does start with the household. But I want to get back on there being lack of fathers in the household, and disclaimer to the men that are there for their, actually there for their children and trying to be in their children's life. This has nothing to do with you. It's just more so of, I don't know if y'all remember, but I grew up in the 80s. It's like oldest time, but I remember so many black men were being arrested. It was like some type of a movement or something that Bush started. I can't remember. If y'all know what I'm talking about, put in the chats. But
right, epidemic.
So like it was just so many. So it's like since then, so many black women had that mentality to be strong and had to be the support system, because so many men was being locked up, and it was like, and I mean it's happening now, but I'm trying to go back to where everything kind of the history part of it, even before then. But at the same time, it's like women had to be strong and hold that, have that mentality and being that leader in the household. And so it passed on to their children, to their daughters, and don't let no man, don't, so it was just more so of that. And it kept being that these little girls growing up without a father in the household, sons not growing up with fathers in the household. So it just keeps continuing to pass on generation to generation, but I have seen young men grow up in households, but they decided to do better, not have a father, but they decided they don't want to be like their dad. They became better and a leader. But but that's kind of like what, 2 out of 10, well, 1 out of 10 households or so. But to get back on track now, yes, I want to say that is mainly why a lot of the reasons for there's so many women that are having to being faced with um, being the providers of that household, because there's so many men that never really learned, or really never really knew. They only kind of went by what they saw growing up, and unfortunately, that's just, it's just been so much of a lack of that strong mentality when it comes to our males. So, yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Lady T.
So I'm trying to remember what he said in the video that I wanted to react to. There were some things that I agreed with, particularly the points around children internalizing the absence of one parent, and the chemical reaction and biological reaction that a child has to the absence of its parent, and how it might have that child living in fight or flight, and constantly imprinting on their psyche, which certain parents just don't take into consideration. But are mothers carrying the burdens by themselves? Some of us are. Some of us are. Some of us are carrying the emotional burdens by ourselves. No fault but our own, our own poor decision making, if you want to call it that. However, yeah, it's happening emotionally, but the fathers are definitely necessary for those children to be balanced and know how to navigate the world in a healthy way. I feel like now these days I'm hearing about more single fathers. So of course there are those situations where, moms aren't the only ones that are carrying burdens. Those I'm not trying to all lives matter it, but like there are dads that are carrying the burdens as well. And I don't think that, because I think it was Jay that spoke to the emotional connection between a parent, a mom and her baby at birth. Was it you? One of you guys did. I think that it's easier for us as moms to connect with our kids when they're babies, because we naturally, for those of us that don't, of course, suffer through, trigger warning, like postpartum depression and things of that nature, it's natural for us to want to protect our young, right? I think for men, when the babies are small, they go through like that fearful thing, and maybe it takes shit. I know when I had my daughter, I naturally wanted to protect her, but it didn't hit me that I was a mom for about like a year, like maybe 2 years. I was like, oh wait, time out. Oh shoot, she like, no, when she started calling me mama, but like when I had to actually leave to go to work and come take care of my kid, I was like, holy crap, I'm a mother, and she came out of my body. You know what I mean? So like for a man, I think it probably starts to set in when the baby starts to be a bit more, starts to notice him more if he's around for it. And I think that, so like the chain of topics that we've been talking to, that emotional connection doesn't happen right away. And for some men, it's easier for them to detach from that and not take the child into consideration, because some take for granted the fact that time isn't promised to anyone. Some take for granted the effects that it's having on those babies. And they definitely do end up leaving that emotional burden on the child's mother more often than not. So I'm gonna say the emotional burden more often than not. Yes, I do think that that's the burden for the mom to carry. But I mean, even if the dad was in the household, I feel like that would be the mom's burden either way, but it would just be the dad's job to help to teach that child how to regulate their emotions.
All right. Precious, did you go already? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so our mother is carrying the burdens by themselves. I think that a lot of women choose to carry the burden by themselves. Most times, men don't leave the babies, they leave the mothers. And so, of course, the kids inherit that emotional void from the father because she felt like she could do it on her own, or she didn't want to cooperate with him, or she didn't want to she really didn't know what she was getting herself into as far as a family unit, and she was careless with her decisions and opening her legs and having a child with someone that maybe she barely knows, or maybe that she doesn't know well enough to actually cooperate with this person and raise the child. So our mothers carrying the burdens by themselves. Some carry it by choice, and they continue to carry it by choice. Um, I wanted to hit on the topic of men and daughters. So there are a lot of men out here who are taking care of their children. There are a lot of single dads out here who are doing everything that they need to do for their kids. I don't think that they get highlighted or praised enough. So shout out to those men who are doing that. But what I've seen in my experience with just friends and men that I know that have daughters, there is an emotional disconnect there. It's not that they're not raising them. It's not that they're not feeding and clothing them. It's not that they're not even loving them. But there is an emotional disconnect between fathers and daughters. Most men have an easier relationship with their son just because they can relate, just based off of the same anatomy, same, where we're both, you're a boy grown into be a man, I'm a man, I can teach you some things, I can show you some things, or you could just watch, whether it be good or bad. However, when it comes to little girls, there is a disconnect. Well, I ain't gonna talk to her, she got a foul mouth, or she always snapping at me, or I think that there needs to be a stronger bridge between fathers and daughters, because a father is the first man that a daughter has in her life that's going to love her, that's going to cultivate certain things inside of her. And if a little girl doesn't have that, then she risks the dangers of going out into the world and dealing with men that don't care about her, men that are going to take advantage of her, men who are not emotionally available, like Balance was saying, like, you want to lie about every little thing. Like, what were you trying to get out of when you were younger? It's like there is no emotional connection with the daughters. And then she grows up not knowing how to love, not knowing how to receive love from a man because her father didn't have that emotional connection with her. So my biggest concern is for, I'm not saying that the fathers aren't there, because the fathers are there, but I see a lot of fathers giving up, or saying, "Oh, I'm not going to deal with that," or just don't even say that, but they're just passive with their daughters, and they don't take the time to actually get into their realm of feelings. What feelings matter to your little girl? Yes, women are emotional, but you have to treat little girls like flowers. Although you're still stern, although you still, put down the order and the structure of how things should be ran in the house, there still should be some type of delicacy that you are using when you're dealing with your little girl, because it'll either work for her or work against her. She'll make more mistakes when she gets older. She'll try and cling on to the first thing that does show her any type of love and affection. And little girls need that from their fathers. They're not going to tell you that. Your little girl is not going to say, "Daddy, I need this from you." I mean, unless she's just really outspoken and she truly, truly knows herself. I think, at a certain age, when you know yourself, you can speak what you need. But little girls aren't going to say that. They're going to act out. They're going to have a crazy mouth because they don't know how to, regulate those emotions. Like, Lady M was saying, you know. So I think that men do need to hone in a little bit more with the little girls and, you know, create that connection. And sometimes you have to get creative with it, right? Because it's not going to always be easy. But this is your child. This is your child that came from you. So you should see yourself in her enough to say, she came from me, she's from me, she's an extension of me, and maybe she's here to teach me something too. Because a lot of times we don't realize that our kids are here to teach us things, and we think we have to be the parents, we got to tell them what to do, we have to instruct them. But there are times, there are these small times where kids don't hold back. They're very honest. And even their emotions, we talk about being spiritual beings, even their emotions can permeate a room so strong that it's like, as a parent, maybe I need to step back. Maybe I need to not think that I know it all, right? We're not leaning into our own understanding. Sometimes kids can teach us things. So that's just my biggest concern when it comes to parenting. Mothers carrying the burdens by themselves, a lot of them choose it. And so you know, you really can't feel sorry for the people who choose to do things the wrong way. But there are people who will correct the course, who will get back on course and do things the way that they're supposed to be. And the burden won't have to be on them. I think that the burden should be shared between both the mother and the father, the people that created the children. But my biggest concern is the void that fathers have with their daughters, because you know, we live in an era of Sexy Reds, Sukianas, you know, the Cardi B's, Megan, you know, all those artists that, you know, the father truly needs to have that strong emotional bond with their daughter. So they're not fooled, they're not tricked out here, they're not, you know, going every which way to find comfort, peace, and the right direction.
Go ahead, brother Hank.
Well, my thing is, why is the mother carrying all the burden? Why is that the problem? Is it something, you know, that really needs to be addressed, or does she feel like she's carrying all the burden? Let me say that too, because if she's no longer with the man, or she's in a situation, you know, she's probably more than likely getting support, some type of financial support. So that's a burden she has. Like we said, I know most of us talking about the emotional burden, and that's very important for sure. But if you're dealing with a son, so to say, for example, there's only so much emotional support you can give a son, and before that man is going to have to step in. You know, because she's not going to be able to understand all of his emotions. I know we're all human beings, but we're different. Women are way different from men. So she can't fully understand the emotional support that young man's going to need, because she's not a man. She has no idea. Now, as far as the daughter, is he going to come in a bit, give some guidance on emotional support? To an extent. There's only so much he can say, because he doesn't understand the makeups of a woman and how she handles and deals with certain things. So, for example, when she's starting her menstrual, a father's not going to have no idea what to say or to do. You know what he's going to do? Do you need some tissue? Do you need some new pads? Or he's going to go straight there. He's not going to think about the emotions and the estrogen that's flowing through her, that's causing her to feel certain things. He's not. He's going to have to look over to his woman or his wife or the mother of the child, say, hey, what should I say? What could I do? What am I supposed to do? And maybe she can give him some type of guidance, and then maybe he can relate the message. And, you know, I'm sure they'll make the daughter feel better hearing it from the father, but knowing he didn't get the information because of his experience. He got it from the experience from a woman. So there's different things as far as a woman carrying all the burden. I don't think they are. Now, if you're dealing with a deadbeat ass dude, you probably are. Or a deadbeat ass parent. I don't even want you to keep putting on the dude. If you're dealing with a deadbeat ass parent, you know, you probably are handling most of the burden. And that's just sad and unfortunate. But for those who are around, they may just can't get along to the point we can't live together or be together no more. I don't think you're carrying all that burden, in my opinion.
All right. Everybody going on this?
I want to add something to what Hank just said, though, because you could have a parent who's actually physically there, but they're not emotionally there. So we see that a lot too. There are men that are in the home physically, but they have no emotional connection to their sons or daughters at all. Like they're just void. It's not there because they don't have it. They don't have it to give. So I just want to add that because we see a two-parent home that automatically like, oh, the woman is sharing the burden, but that's not necessarily true. I've seen both sides. And I know that a man has to be in tune with himself, whether he's physically there or not, in order to emotionally bond with a woman or his children. So it's something he has to work on within himself first, and then he'll be able to connect with his family. That's all I wanted to add.
I wanted to add something to what Hank said too. So I know through my experience, a lot of times, my dad spoke to my mom, which that's how he wanted things to be communicated to me. So my mom was like, "Well, you know your dad this, and you know your dad feels this, and you know your dad, you know." But a lot of times you do have to hear that. So Hank, you were talking about like the menstrual cycle, right? And it's like you have to go to her to see what, needs to be said and things like that. And, she may have that conversation with her, but I think it's very important for fathers to take moments out with their children, whether it be boys or girls, and have those conversations and those moments and those things that are going to help bridge the gap between the parent and the child. Because after the parent, after you're 18, 21 years, whatever it is, your child is not seeing you as a parent anymore. They're seeing you as people. And so, in order to really strengthen that bond, you have to create that bridge when they're children. So, when they see you as people, they're not seeing you as a standoffish parent. They're not seeing you as a parent that, oh, well, you just want to tell mom everything and you don't want to talk to me. So I think that that is important too, learning how to communicate with your children. And a lot of times it takes using childlike vocabulary. And a lot of people don't tap into that unless you have some type of educational background in it, unless you have some type of communication major or like things like that where you're able to articulate yourself. I always say to expand your vocabulary, and that's important when it comes to children because when the children get older, again, they're going to see you past a parent and they're going to see you as a person now. Like, okay, we both adults and we both should have respect for one another, but children learn that respect and they learn that model of communication when parents are actually taking the time out to do it to them because children gravitate towards love, and part of love is communication. So if you're not communicating with your child, they're not going to gravitate towards you, and they're going to tell everybody else everything, or they're going to go somewhere else for that love and support. So, even with men, even things with like the cycle, even try to get involved some kind of way. Hey, I know you need these. Your mom got this bag together for you, but I wanted to give it to you. Just let you know that I love you. If there's anything that you need from me, let me know. Even something like that is reassuring for that little girl, knowing that daddy doesn't think it's disgusting that I'm bleeding for a few days. Sorry to be so graphic.
So to answer what Balance said, if a man's not emotional, how did you get with him? How did you get in a relationship if he never showed any emotions? That don't make sense to me at all. I mean, what turned you on about this man that you want to have a relationship and to the point of even having children if he's not emotionally there? He wasn't emotionally during the relationship then. He was only emotional when he was giving you dick. That's the only time he showed some type of emotion. Other than that, more than likely, it didn't start when them kids came in the picture. It started way before then. So why was you in a relationship with this person? That's my I don't understand that.
So
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, has everybody seen the movie Fences by chance with Denzel Washington and Viola Davis? If y'all haven't, must watch movie. While y'all were talking, there were lines from the movie that was just popping in my head, different scenarios that just kept on popping in my head, and it made me want to kind of come to not conclusion, but kind of cross path where I think that type of dynamic in that type of scenario is much more prevalent than the one that we're probably trying to color with rose-colored glass. right? It's like, he's like, I gave you everything. You know, I fed you, I clothed you, I gave you everything. There was nothing in there that said that I had to like you. You know what I'm saying? As a man, I took care of my responsibility, and you know, and I showed up and I made things work between you, between your mom and myself, right? And I don't know if that is the bare minimum basic, right? And I think that that might be it. Like, our relationship between me and your mother didn't work out, but that doesn't mean I stopped providing for you. That doesn't mean I stopped showing up for you. I doesn't mean I stopped, you know, caring about you or stop being a father to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was kind of extracting from the movie and certain quotes from it, and kind of just thinking about how we're talking about this in a way where it almost feels like that other component is like a plus. It's like a heaven, right? But we just haven't gotten past that threshold yet. And sort of like there's this sort of like, well, I show up, I provide, I do this. There's nothing in there saying that I have to love you in this type of dynamic, or I have to or like you per se. And I think that that's the missing ingredient in a lot of relationships is that. I just wanted to highlight that because I thought that I thought that was a really good observation that I made.
Yeah, but you know, just like this, and the way the movie's based around at what time, those are fathers of yesterday. In 2023, I don't think a lot of fathers are like that. I seriously don't, and I hate that scenario. We always throw that like Mr., you know, from Color Purple is still the man of 2020. No, that's not. It's not. It's not how it is right now, or it is in today's time. I don't think there's a lot of fathers. I'm not going to sit there and say there's not any. Majority of them, no. They moving differently, and like I said, that lack of emotion had to start way before the kids was there, and the ladies of 2023 are not going for that shit either. So,
and I think we also have to take into consideration the mothers that are choosing to carry the burden. I'm not sure how many of y'all watch Insecure. Are y'all familiar with that? The Issa Rae show that came on HBO. And I don't even have kids, but there was an episode where, you know, Lawrence and Condola, for those who watched the show, when they had the kid, and her emotion in the situation. So to give a layout, there's the it couple, you know, the couple that's destined to be together, and you know, they break up. In the midst of that, the guy gets another girl pregnant when they are on the brink of getting back together. The girl that he got pregnant knew he was destined to be with this girl. So she already, and she was pregnant and she was keeping it. So she already built up like anger and resentment to him because she knows that his heart was with this other woman. So he was trying to do the best he could for the situation. You know, he was trying to be there for the kid, and she was doing everything in her nature to make it hard for him to spend time with the child. You know what I'm saying? So essentially she was choosing to have the burden, you know, and then the little time that she would let him come in, you know, the baby loved him, was laughing, you know, and she hated the fact that him and the child got along, or she hated the fact that he actually was a good dad. You know what I mean? And then it got, you know, they had a breakthrough, but it's like initially she was choosing to have this burden. He was there like, yo, I'm here. I mean, I know the circumstances aren't the best. We're not going to be together, but I'm here. And she was just making things very difficult. And I think that's the case too. Like, you know, speaking to feelings from the very beginning of the show, you know, we talked about feelings and emotion, and are they the reality? You have this man here who is trying to do the right thing, is here for you, but you are doing everything in your nature to make it hard for him so that he runs away, because essentially you want to deal with that burden. You know, you want that burden. So that's the case in a lot of situations as well. And you have to, you know, figure out a way that you can sever those emotions from what you feel for him versus what him and his child have, you know, because what him and his child have or can have, you don't need to manipulate that. You know, you need to let that be in spite of what you feel for him. Might not be a good boyfriend, might be a magnificent dad, you know.
Sadly, there are women that push men away from seeing their children because of how they feel and because that man doesn't want to be with them. And so that, yeah, there's a lot of cases, sadly.
All right. Any other final thoughts? Anybody else want to say anything before we close out? On once, on twice. You go. Great show, man. Great show.
Happy Sunday, y'all.
Yeah. Sure, hit the like button on y'all way out and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow everybody on the panel as well and support each other. And that's gonna conclude the show, man. Another bang in the books. Thank you guys for your perspectives. Hopefully the Bears win, right, Hank?
Eagles, EAGLES.
Go Bears.
We'll see. We'll see.
Go Eagles.
All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
Yeah.